Let me ask you this. When you have to watch your kids, Kyle,
Yeah.
do you consider it babysitting?
For the sake of this conversation, I'm going to be really clear and go, heck no. That is full-time fatherhood. I
Amen.
don't babysit my kids. I'm involved in their lives every twist and turn.
I see this so many times from people that I coach or run into of like, well, there's something wrong with me. There's something broken because of this. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, no, you're having a life experience. Welcome
Yes.
to life. It's
Welcome to real
hard,
life.
but that's what makes it so beautiful. And then
Kids will remember patterns. I remember the patterns that I noticed. The one-offs, they become stories and things you laugh about. But the patterns become cycles that they will walk into as adults themselves.
because they believe that that's true. If it was true for dad. Welcome to the High Performance Human Podcast, where high achievers learn to master themselves, not just their success. I'm Creighton Bertrand, a certified high performance coach, here to share practical tools to rewire your habits and mindset. If you're ready to move beyond good enough and step into real transformation, you're in the right place. Let's get to work. Mention this about lacking the confidence, not knowing the skills. Would that be a good first place for them to go if they feel like, hey, I hear what you guys are talking about. I like this idea. I'm so broken. I don't have my stuff together. I'm not emotionally stable. Like, is this a good place for me to start?
Absolutely. And I'd couple that with also saying, welcome to the party. One of the things I'd say about being a dad is, man, being a father has really helped me to identify areas of dysfunction in my own life.
Why weren't you able to see it before?
I think I saw it to the level of life experience that I had to that point. When you have kids that are every day, they are watching, listening, and learning from you, there's another level of pressure. And I mean that in the most affectionate way. I appreciate the pressure of knowing there are eyes that are watching, there are ears that are listening. And there are two individuals in this home who are beginning to develop who they want to become or what they would like to not ever become based upon the experience they have with me as their dad. My wife and I, we joke around all the time and say we're saving for two things for our kids: college and counseling.
Here you are, someone that's figuring life out. You're doing the inner work. You're trying to figure out how to get better at your emotions and all that, despite you, someone from the outside would see this and say, here, this is guys trying to perfect parenting, trying to perfect life, trying to perfect being a human. If that's true, why in the heck is he preparing for his kids to go to counseling?
I'm a human. And even on my best day, I am still a man at best.
But I think
And
that humbleness is the key. Because I
Mhm.
can tell, it's so funny because my wife and I say the same thing all the time. We're just like,
Mhm.
oh my gosh, I can't wait till my kids come to me to blame me about all the things that we did wrong or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah,
And I think it's coming from a place of humility of like, oh yeah, I did drop the ball there. I am willing to take accountability for what it is that I did. That was not my intent,
yeah,
and I apologize. But
100%.
in addition to that, of you having the humility to know that you're never going to get it perfect, you're never going to get it right, and that there's going to be stuff for them. And I think that that's the differentiator from my experience. The parents that are good versus the ones that are not. The ones that are not are the ones that think that they have it all figured out, that I know this is how it's done. Whereas I think the ones that I've seen that are the best are the ones that doubt and want to grow.
That's powerful. Absolutely. I heard an older man who was a mentor for me in a season of life. He would say it like this: that the mark of an excellent leader is that they are committed to being a lifelong learner. With that in mind, I go, hey, I'm not going to really have this fatherhood thing figured out, but I'm going to keep working on it every single day and keep
Yeah.
showing up, keep chopping wood, as the book says, be able to show up not only and apologize, but show up and let them see patterns change over time. A
Yes.
little
Oh,
bit of
powerful.
backstory about me, or kind of where the motivation comes from. I know we're talking high performers and we're talking a lot about fatherhood, but I do believe that a father is one of the most influential figures, whether healthy or toxic. I believe that a father is one of the most influential figures in any child's life. The statistics tell us that
Yes.
decisions are made in healthy directions or in unhealthy directions. And one of the linchpins of those decisions is based upon, did you have a present and available father in the home that you were raised in? My dad did not come from that. He had a present dad in his life, but his dad was not emotionally available,
Mm.
never kissed him, never told him he loved him, never hugged him, never threw the ball with him. And so as a result, there became this anger and
Yeah.
resentment towards his father that developed. And so when he gave his life to the Lord and realized, I can't perpetuate this cycle, I am the result of a dad who said, the cycle that I was handed breaks with me. And so now the motivation for me comes from, hey, my dad gave me a gift that I didn't even realize I was getting until I became a dad myself. Now it is my responsibility, we'll use the scriptural term, it is a stewardship responsibility of mine to create that environment and that experience for our two kids so that they can go and then take that into their family in due time, but also into the communities and the relationships that they will touch.
Were you growing up, Kyle? Were you always humble and wanting to learn how to be better, learn how to grow, all those things? Or is this something that came at a certain place?
Absolutely not humble. I was a normal kid. My parents probably spent more time on their knees praying to the Lord about me than any of the three kids that they raised. And I will tell you, a watershed moment for me happened when I was 19 years old. I was attending the University of Central Florida,
Okay.
and for me, UCF stands for You Can't Finish, because I lasted 3 semesters before my terrible study skills and lack of personal awareness and responsibility caught up with me.
Mm,
Within a 30-day stretch of time, I was kicked out of school for multiple semesters on academic probation. As a
okay.
result, I lost my work study job in the admissions office, and then I was evicted from my apartment, all
Wow.
within 30 days. My dad drove up to Orlando, sat me down in front of Chick-fil-A at the Altamont Mall, and said, "Son, I love you, but you are not coming home."
I love that he started with, I love you, but I'm not going to accept this.
No, you're not coming home. And the number one thing he said, which he quickly followed it with 2 statements. He said, if I allow you to come home, I will rob you of the opportunity of growing into the man that you have been called and created to be. And the
Wow.
second thing is, I love you enough that if you need me, if you need to work something out, if you have questions, call me. So I left the
So,
conversation. I called my mom, and my mom said, whatever your dad said, I am in full agreement. You're staying there. Figure it out. We love you. Bye.
wow.
I didn't understand, and I probably won't understand for a while, the cost that put on my dad's shoulders. But I appreciate the fact that he saw 20 years down the road
Yeah.
and said, I can't save him from hardship. What that did is it caused me to wake up and go, authentic manhood is not about always figuring it out on your own. Authentic manhood also involves you raising your hand and going, I've never had this human experience before. So it's only deceiving myself. There's the pride dying again. It's only deceiving myself to think that I should walk into life and just figure it out every step of the way on my own.
Yeah.
This led me, and I wish I could tell you, Creighton, that was the last time I fell on my face. No, it was just the one that got my attention. But there were two
Yeah.
or three other moments that
Yeah.
really caused me to go, I could have avoided some of the consequences had I just raised my hand, not when I messed up, but when I was making the decision.
Right.
So, probably between 19 and 23 were some of the most difficult developmental years for me. But
Yeah.
around 23, 24, I started to turn the corner. And I can tell you one of the number one things that happened was I started raising my hand and asking people for help.
Mm,
Proverbs chapter 15, verse 22 says, plans fail for a lack of counsel, but among many wise advisors, they succeed. And what I had to realize is I had to develop a board of advisors for my life in specific areas: finances, physical health, emotional and mental well being. being pastored, spiritually speaking. Those are just to name four. But
Yeah.
with that, man, I found that there's freedom and there is health. Have I made less mistakes? Probably so. But here's the thing, the collateral damage of decisions is much less when you're bouncing them off of the right voices that you have at the right volume.
I think one of the worst things we could do, and this goes back to my whole journey of life, I'll be 42 this month,
Happy.
that is thinking that I knew. I think this is one of the biggest detriments that I had growing up is I was a really good student. I got straight A's. I was prom king. I was all these things that society told me that you are capable. You are the almighty essentially. So going to college, doing engineering, like I always turn to my I can figure it out. I can push. I can suffer. I am, I know, and just getting beat over my head time and time again of like, cool, Creighton, you have the success, you have the money, your family. The one thing that you worship more than anything is your family's about to be taken out from you. And
Mm.
there's nothing you can do about it. You can't push, you can't hustle, you can't grind your way out of this. You have to become humble and be vulnerable and do all the things that I didn't know how to do. I mean, but I'm so grateful for that. And so going back to when you were 19, when this happened with your dad, when he did this, where you're like, okay, dad, thanks. I'm excited. I'm going to go figure this out. Or did you have some resentment, some anger? What was it like after you had that conversation with your dad of your dad calling you out?
In a unique way, Creighton, I felt empowered.
Why did you go backdoor and try to contact your mom?
Because what boy is not going to reach out to his mom for a little nurturing?
Okay.
However, my mom's from the school of hard knocks, man. She is the youngest, 9 children. She grew up in an abusive home and she's overcome a lot of adversity along the way. And she knew enough to go, I have watched my husband cultivate, at this point, their oldest son. I'm their oldest, cultivate our oldest son for 19 years, challenge him, direct him, love him, guide him, guard him. But at some point, in the same way that the mother eagle turns the twigs of the nest around to where the ends that used to protect the baby eagle now provoke the baby eagle to get out
Mm,
of the nest and fly on their own, that was a moment for me to go, oh, wait, my parents are on the same page and they're committed to my growth and development. And so while it hurt to hear that language from them, it was also empowering to go, oh no, they're now challenging you to
mm,
rise to the occasion of the adult that you claim to be on paper.
right.
Is it not wild that we say, hey, at 18 years old, you are a fully grown adult, able to make adult level decisions about your future, your finances, but yet at 18, I think those of us who are now, I just turned 40 this year, and I
Welcome
go,
to the club, brother. What
thank you,
I
man.
don't believe you don't have a touch of gray. I'm calling
Uh,
you out on that
if
as
this beard
nonsense.
grows out a little bit, about 3 more months, you're going to see
No.
more salt along with the
Oh,
pepper. I've been very excited, to be honest with you, about getting gray hair for that reason right there.
oh.
Hey, I've learned a couple of things. You're going to listen now. But with that, man, it's going on. I'm being empowered. I look back and I go, man, at 18, you really do think you're grown. And then grown life smacks you in the face in its own way. And you realize, oh, okay, I maybe wasn't as grown as I thought I was.
Mm,
And so one of the key components for me was the relationships that I developed with people that were either 1, 2, or 3 steps ahead of me
mm.
that could help not tell me what to do, but here we go, teach me how to think.
And if you could summarize and maybe one or two things for that moron, I'm not calling yourself, you were
No, I
probably
understand.
far, but if I could go back
You're
and
giving me
just
too much credit, Creighton. I did not have it together.
my problem is I thought I had it together. So if I could go back to the moronic Creighton
Yes.
from 18, and I would say from 18 to 30, that he thought he knew, like what advice would you give them to tell them, okay, well, how can you learn to think?
The number one thing I would say is purposely put yourself around people who are 1 to 2 seasons of life ahead of you. Look for key indicators, watch their relationships, How
Mm,
do they handle people? If they're married, how do they talk to their spouse? If they have children, can they command the attention of their children
mm,
without the fear factor being the motivator?
yeah.
You can sense these things. You can see these things.
Yeah.
Pick up on how do they manage, if they're willing to explain it to you, how do they manage their finances? Are they about image or are they about substance? But when you reach out to these people who are 1, 2 seasons of life ahead of you, what you gain from them is the benefit of hindsight. Hindsight is always 2020. So it's easier for them to look back and go, man, if I knew at 19 what I know at 29, these are some different decisions I would have made because these are some different thoughts I've come to understand are true or better than what I knew at 19. Some of my favorite people to spend time with are people who have gray hair or no hair.
And that's what I was going to say. I would say one of the indicators as well that I would challenge is I wouldn't be listening to the person that's in their 20 to 30. If I go back to like a 19, 18-year-old version, be
Mhm.
careful of those that are in their 20s or early 30s that they think they have it figured out. I mean, we can go into as much science as we want about that your brain isn't fully developed until you're about 27 to 30. So like you still are an idiot and you don't even understand everything at that point. Your brain isn't fully developed yet. So
Mhm.
the idea that you think that this 20-year-old or 25-year-old is telling you, "Oh, go do this." Be careful. And then the other thing, I love that you packaged it around relationship because if I go back to 19-year-old Creighton, he was just so hell bent on what his definition of success was, which was all just financial. Mine was all if I can get more money and if I can get more status.
Yeah.
That's all, that's if I can just get those, I'll be set. And it wasn't until I got all of that
Mhm.
and realized the cost that it had to these other areas of my life that I didn't know were so important. I mean, I always went off of the assumption that, oh, my relationship will always be there, that it's
Mhm.
always going to be there. I don't need to focus on that because I just need more success and I need more status. As soon as I have more of that, life will be so much better.
Let's borrow a metaphor from sports for a moment. When a team drafts a player in the first round, typically young, out of college, some sports out of high school, one of the things that the winning organizations do is they always partner the future franchise player with a veteran.
Yeah.
In sports, they say, hey, the rook has got a vet. This is your vet. And the responsibility of the veteran is to teach the rookie how to be a professional because they've never been a professional before. I saw a video recently where DeAndre Jordan, who is plays for the New Orleans Pelicans, he is the veteran for a rookie named Derek Queen. Now, if you go back on Instagram, you can see DeAndre Jordan had days planned for Lob City, the Los Angeles Clippers with Chris Paul, Blake Griffin, where he was an all star. He had moments. He made hundreds of millions of dollars. Now he's on the backside of his career, but all the experiences he's gained, they are gold for a
Oh
guy
yeah.
like Derek Queen, who is just coming into the league, breaking in, making his indention, and trying to learn how to be a professional. And I love watching the relationship that they allow to be seen on social media because they're literally teaching them how to communicate,
Mm,
teaching them how to handle the pressure of pressure packed moments in a game. How do you handle a win? How do you handle a loss? Everyone needs a vet. I love what you're saying here, and I go along with it. This is something that's already happening. In the
yeah.
business world, this is happening with apprenticeships. This is happening with internships. This is happening with people who are being developed in an organization. You've got a guy who's going to be a CEO right in the future, but that person is starting as low as you can get positionally, but they're learning the business from the inside out. And so I go, they have people around them that help to develop them as a leader. And I think if that's going to happen for sports and that's going to happen for business, I believe more than not, it should happen personally, where you
Yeah.
have someone who is going to be in church community, faith-based community, which I'm faith-based. I know everyone who listens may not be, but we are. So we're going to lean into this. We would call it
Please.
discipleship.
Yeah.
Yeah, we would call it discipleship. We would call it someone who's not just going to pat you on the back when you're doing well with the principles and precepts of the word, but someone who's going to help you to see how a slight tweak today in making sure to live with more kindness, more gentleness, more self control is going to be fruit that people can grab from your life 15, 20 years from now. And that is an earmark that's going to lead people to a relationship with the Lord and you as an example to others as well, all because you had a vet that came along and said, hey, let me help you to see something that you don't see.
And I love what you just said. You talked about this whole relationship between the rookie and the vet. And it goes back to what we're talking. I think that's our role as a father. We are that vet for our children. And I would challenge the person out there to look through your life. If you are a father or any sort of a parent or any sort of a vet for other people, take some time to check in with yourself. Are you showing up the way that you want? Are you modeling the things that you want to model for? And if you aren't, welcome to the club. Like, I don't want people to look at themselves, well, I'm failing at this. Awesome. That what was doesn't have to be what it is that you want. You can change any of those things. So for anyone that is struggling with it, the first thing is just to recognize where are you falling short and deciding that you want to get better. And if you do want to get better, reach out to Kyle, get on the email list so you can start to figure out, oh, okay, well, here's some breadcrumbs for me to start to follow to become that veteran for my children, my family, and for society as a whole.
Absolutely. One client I was coaching, I appreciate you saying that, Creighton. One client I was coaching, we were trying to help them to take a next step into becoming a public speaker themselves. They have a desire to be a public speaker. They have a desire to share. And they have a strong story and a strong message to share. As we got into the second session, the number one thing we found is it had nothing to do with talent or ability. It had everything to do with time management. So when you have someone who's able to come in, who's not in the fray with you, but look at the fray and identify, hey, what are the spaces that are going to hold you back from
Yeah.
your best? Man, it can unlock you. Now, what you do with that insight once you get it is typically the determining factor between those who explode into their next step and those who just stay where they are. But in this conversation, the light bulb went on when they realized it had nothing to do with talent or opportunity. It had everything to do with time management. I say all that to go, something my pastor says all the time is everyone has blind spots. The healthiest and most effective leaders are the ones that ask the right questions of the right people so that they can help you to see where your blind spots are before you sideswipe
Yeah.
someone or something.
But I think that's so good back to being humble enough and being courageous enough to go back to what you're saying when you were 19 of raising your hand of, hey, someone, and I think David talks about this all the time of asking God to come upon him and look upon his heart and judge. Like, what? I remember reading that. I'm like, no, I don't want that. Like, please don't look, don't judge, don't put me under a microscope. But it's like, oh my gosh, how humbling, how courageous do you have to be to ask other people to examine you, to help you see where are your blind spots that you're missing? And I think I study so much psychology, human behavior, all these things. So to me, this all makes sense because the problem that most people have is they don't like people saying, hey, this is your blind spot, this is a problem, because they don't believe that they have any agency to change it. And so that's why a lot of people don't want to be seen these because it's like, cool, well, there's a nail in my foot. I don't know how to take that nail out. So I'd rather pretend that there's nothing in my foot and just live my life that way.
I would add to that. I think one of the healthiest next steps for someone to take is to initiate relationship with someone that you are going to give permission. My friend Ryan Leake says it like this. He says, give them permission to be radically candid with you.
This is one thing I tell people, let their spouse tell them what they like, what they don't like. Like that is so imperative for everything.
So he goes on to say this in USA Today best-selling book that he had called Leveling Up. He asks this question. He says, when's the last time that you sat across from someone and asked this one question? What is it like to be on the other side of me? When you give permission for people to be radically candid with you, they can show you the spots and the spaces. They can show you the spaces that you need to that you were either unaware of
Mhm.
or you knew existed but didn't want to address. Now,
Have you
though,
ever
here's the thing.
noticed that? Because I feel like most of the people that have these breakthroughs, whatever, we all knew most of those things are, but we're just hiding those skeletons in our closets, praying, please don't find that. Please. Okay, Kyle, tell me whatever it is, but please don't say it's this one thing. Please don't tell. And then it's like, oh, it's that one thing. It's like,
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Yes, you did.
Yeah. I would
Yeah.
say go through your life. What is the thing that you fear the most about people
Mm,
finding out about you? And I guarantee that that thing is consuming so much of your life, whether you recognize it or not.
yeah. The faster you go tackle the big hairy monster, the quicker you will not only operate another level of awareness of who you are, but you won't have that thing draining the energy out of you and taking away the vitality from your days.
What do you think is the thing that can help that person that's afraid of pulling the big hairy, this actually sounds terrible, but pulling the big hairy monster out of the closet?
I think that's a probably an individual answer to what that person's human experience has been. For some, it's the fear of rejection. For some, it's the fear of feeling like a failure or appearing to be a failure. For some, it's the thing that motivated them to succeed was not being like their dad or not being like their family was in a previous generation. But when you start moving that thing out of the closet, now they have to address that thing head on. And so I
Yeah.
think it's individual to the person. But I
Oh, for
think
sure.
one thing that above all that I would encourage people to do is they go, okay, I got something that I need to tackle and I'm afraid to do it. One
I
author said it
understand.
like this: be honest and do it scared.
Yes.
I can't tell you how many therapy appointments I have gone into and I go, I'm afraid of actually saying some of these things out loud. But you know what? There isn't a safer place to do it
Yeah.
than in my therapist office. And so I am going to go ahead and let's just go after it. Let's do it scared.
Yeah.
Now, let's make sure that we interject Jesus into this. I've never been in a moment before where I've done something afraid and Jesus hasn't been there with me. Frankly, it is one of the greatest promises that I think often gets overlooked. What does he say? Behold, I am with you always. So that means when I succeed, he was there. When I failed, he was there. When I hid something, he was there.
Hmm.
When I let fear drive me away from an opportunity to be honest, he was there. So if he was there at all of those inflection points, it's one of the greatest and most underestimated promises in all of scripture that
Yeah.
he ain't going nowhere. He
Yeah.
doesn't blush when you get it wrong. He's not, if he didn't blush when you got it wrong, he's going to celebrate when you get it right.
Yeah.
So it's the honesty of being able to, I'm going to do it afraid. And for the believer and follower of Jesus, I go, I'm going to do it afraid because I know he's with me.
Yes. And I couldn't agree more that for people that are struggling to do it on their own, that's exactly what I would tell. You don't have to. I was talking to this guy, this kid that I was doing some mentorship and we're talking about stuff. And he's like, man, Creighton, like, I have such a hard time stop being addicted to pornography, like with the TikTok, everything that's on there. It's so hard. And I go, well, what if you don't have to do it? He's like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, well, you obviously aren't capable of doing it, but you know who is capable is God. How many times have you sat and prayed and asked him to carry the burden instead of you thinking that you have to do it on your own? You can't do it on your own. So the sooner that you can humble yourself and realize, yeah, I can't do this. I don't have the power, but he does.
Mhm.
He can do anything.
Mhm.
So I think that's one of the biggest things that's changed so much for my life is realizing going into things scared, going into that, like, that's fine. Like, I don't need to have the answers. I don't need to be or do anything. It's he, not me. That to me is just so freeing.
I think it leads probably to a healthy next step as well is high performers need community, but the community they need is not community that's just trying to figure out how to hit another KPI or how to raise the bottom line by 35%. Those things are not bad. Those things are good and
Yeah.
necessary.
Yeah.
But what a high performer needs in community is a place where people are not enamored by their prestige, their position, or their progress. They need a place where people are just going to see them as a person. When you have that, it unlocks you to actually be an authentic version of you and to know I am accepted the way I am and challenged to become who I was actually created to be.
And you can't lose. That's my favorite thing about all. You're literally playing with house money.
There it is.
You have
There it is.
nothing to lose, only everything to gain by
Correct.
continuing to push and all these.
So I've been in vocational ministry for nearly 2 decades. I've also worked in sales, been in banking, in the marketplace as well. Currently, I get a chance to be able to travel as a public speaker. I also do coaching in different niche spaces and work with fathers on a daily basis. So let's just be honest, I'm in the people business. My responsibility is to add value to people every single day. For the majority of my professional career and adult life, I have struggled getting into community because in most of the community that I was in, I immediately became the default leader because people knew who I was and
Right.
what I did. So a couple of years ago, I said, I've been going through a significant process of learning how to develop relationships and friendships. If you want to dive into that story for a moment, we can. But in that process, it's been the course of the last 6 or 7 years. In that time period, one of the things I found is that I had become more isolated than I needed to be. So I called a friend of mine. I said, hey, I know you lead a group for guys who are married and married with kids. I said, I want to start coming to your group, but please don't ask me to pray. Don't ask me to lead any of the group sessions. Don't ask me to have any type of a leadership role within the group. I just want to come be one of the guys.
Huh.
And I trust you because I know who you are, your character. I've seen you for a number of years now. I just trust you to be able to lead it well. And I want to be a part of your group. He opened the door. I've been going for almost the last 2 years. And I will tell you, it's one of the greatest gifts to be able to be someplace where people they know what you do, but when you're around this table, hey, you're one of the guys.
Hmm.
We've all got to struggle. We've all or struggles. Life comes and punches you in the face. You have tough moments, you have great victories, and all of these things are accepted here at the table.
How do you turn that off of not bringing in the coaching, the thought, the problem solving? Like when you're hearing other people's thing, I just thinking this is just me being 100% vulnerable and honest.
Yeah.
Like when I go any place, like I just want to love, I just want to help, I just want to do all of these things that
Mhm.
going into a thing, I would have to consciously be reminding we're not here to be the leader. We're not here to
Mhm.
help. We're here to be vulnerable, to be honest, to do all this. And I'm not going to start preaching or talking to these people about these things. Was that difficult for you to make that transition? Or were you just like, oh my gosh, I've been waiting for this for so long to be able to turn this stupid stuff off?
Yeah, that's a great question. The biggest thing for me was I trusted the leader. And so I knew I wasn't going to a group that didn't have strong leadership.
So you knew someone else could carry so that you didn't have to.
Correct, correct. And then
Oh,
I'm
that
a
makes
strong
sense.
proponent of self-talk. So sometimes on the drive there, it's a 15-minute drive to the church where we meet. And I go, yeah, the 15-minute drive. Hey, you're just there to listen and learn
Yeah.
today. You're there to listen and learn. There are times where people around the table say some stuff and you just go, I really would like to correct that right now.
Mm,
But I feel like the Holy Spirit reminds me, you're not here to do that. You're here to
yeah.
listen and learn. You're here to be empathetic because at some point,
Mm,
someone looked at you and said, gosh, I'd really like to correct that. But you know
mm.
what? Let me give him the space to grow, to develop, and to learn. And so, does that make sense?
That's so beautiful of this dance between having faith that God will take care of it, all this versus me interjecting of like, well, I know I'm going to do it. Like, why would you be doing it that way?
Yeah.
So that's always a balance that I'm trying to
Yes.
battle between of like, I know, but like, is this an instance where I need to interject or whatever?
Mhm.
Or do I literally have faith that this is all going to get taken care of by God? Like, when do I step in and when do I sit by the side?
My pastor says it like this: sometimes these aren't problems to be solved, sometimes these are tensions to be managed. And so it's in that moment, I don't necessarily, I'm learning to not see these things as a problem,
Yes.
but to learn how to live in the tension. And tension is not bad. I think
And
sometimes we run from tension because it makes us uncomfortable.
I want to say this to everyone all the time, that stop asking for the struggles and the hardship and the challenges and the tensions to go away, because it won't. And you're just creating this false reality that doesn't exist. Because I guarantee if you look back through your life, anything that was memorable, anything that you really value, came from some sort of struggle. It came from something that was uncertain. It was unpredictable. It was unplanned. Like, that's where the joy of life happens. It doesn't happen from you just sitting on the couch doing absolutely nothing. And that's where no tension is. Like, if that's really what you're striving for, just go sit on the side of the street. Like, you can literally do that. But that's not the joy that we're looking for in life. We're looking for literally what it says in the book of, like, pick up your cross.
Mhm.
This is going to be a battle. Be
Yes, sir.
grateful that you get to be in this battle.
Exactly. I think one of the ways that we express the gratitude is to not run from struggle, but to
Mm.
embrace hard things.
Yeah.
If I was to call back to the story when my dad left me in Orlando to figure some things out on an adult level, he let me do hard things. And one of the values that Danielle and I lead our home with and lead our kids is, in this family, we do hard things. Yeah, our daughter broke her arm 4 days before Christmas 2 years ago. And watching her go through nearly a year of
Ooh.
recovery and physical therapy and possible necrosis, which is death of the bone, and navigating all of the waves of emotions that go with. Now she's back on the field playing flag football like every normal kid.
Wow.
But now she goes, "Oh no, I know what it's like to do hard
Oh,
things
yeah.
because
What a
I had to
gift.
overcome." Exactly. And we didn't apologize for what happened. Did we
Yeah.
feel bad? Of course we did.
Yeah.
All of us were huddled in the emergency room with her for 3 hours while they were navigating what was going on and figuring
Yeah.
out what next steps to take. But you know what? We're going to walk with you, but we're not going to save you,
Yeah.
because you need this experience to learn what it's like to do hard things. Our son, he loves the game of football. He just finished his second season of playing flag football. And one of the earmarked moments I'll never forget, whether he goes on and plays college football or professional football, this is just a story I'll tell about him for the rest of my life. He was in a championship game and he was playing the most difficult team in the division, and he knew it was the most difficult team in the division because he played them twice before. He won one time, they lost the second time. And the second time, the loss was so aggressive that he didn't even really want to play. And when I tell
Mm.
you he loves the game of football, you put cartoons on in front of him and he asks you, "Can you turn on NFL Network?"
Oh,
Like,
wow.
he loves football.
Yeah.
And the first half of the game, he would go to start chasing somebody down and he would stop halfway because in his mind, he said, "I can't catch him."
Yeah.
And I just got on one knee at halftime, eye level, said, "Son, I can't figure out a way to tell you what to do, but you have got to find somewhere inside of you to say, I do hard things.
Mm.
And whether I succeed or whether I fail, it is not a matter of success or failure. It's a matter of the fact that you wouldn't let yourself not try your absolute best."
Yeah.
It's my top rule when they play sports. I go, "I don't care if you score, I don't care if you win. Right now, I care that you give the best effort that you had that day." That's my number one priority.
Yeah.
The second half of that game, Creighton, the real Kyrie came alive. And although they lost the game by one touchdown,
Mm.
he had this massive smile on his face because he realized what it was like. I did something I did not know that I could do. He scored twice. He was snatching flags. He was a whole different player the second half,
Yeah.
but he showed himself,
Yeah.
"Oh no, I can do this if I'll fully commit to doing hard things."
That's so
If
beautiful.
you can do this in sports, imagine what it's like when you channel it in life.
For sure. And I think that's the benefit of the sports. It shows you how to push yourself, how to be uncomfortable. This is why one of my favorite studies is studying sports psychology. That's the game. They know how to push themselves beyond their mind and their body, what they even thought was possible. And if you can
Absolutely.
do that for sprinting, Imagine if you could do that for setting goals. Imagine if you can do that for your relationship with your children instead of like, oh, well, I just can't, or this isn't easy, or this isn't comfortable. Like, what a beautiful opportunity to grow.
Let's talk to high performers because that's who our audience is here. And just go, let's unpack really quickly one of the lies that you have to begin to uncover. And that is because you are a high performer in one area must mean that you are supposed to be a high performer in
Mm.
every area. Couldn't be further from the truth. Not because you're bad, but because you're human. Has a
That's the
spot.
zinger. That's the
Yeah.
part that sucks.
Yeah.
Because their definition of human is when I do something I'm either naturally good at or this just came easy or this one.
Correct.
So as soon as it's not,
Yeah.
they assume that either they're broken or that that's just not for them.
And some of what drives us is when we find an area of weakness, we go, oh, I will be relentless
Yeah.
until I turn this weakness into a strength. Okay, that's good when you're playing basketball, learning how to dribble with your offhand.
Yeah.
But let's be honest, when you've got a wife, you've got kids, you've got
Thank
people
you.
that are dependent on you, you cannot slam the door on
Yeah.
everybody else just to fix this one area. Life is still happening, moving and moving quickly.
Yeah.
And so I think some of what we talked about with community, with embracing the struggle, with the honesty factor, with being transparent and finding who you can be transparent with,
Mm.
it can help us as high performers to go, I don't have to win at everything.
Mm.
I have to win at the best things.
And that's so hard when it's ingrained. Like if I go back to myself, like I was so competitive in sports and I always had to be the best and the fastest and all these things that whenever it wasn't like that in other areas of life, I just became a baby and I had a temper tantrum and be like, well, then I don't want this. Then this isn't important. Let me go to the things that I can quote unquote control because that feels good, even though it was empty.
I've heard multiple athletes say it as this, and I know we've quoted athletes a lot. It's very clear that you and I embrace sports, love sports, and learn from sports. But I've heard multiple athletes say it like this. They go, we have got to learn how to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. And in a society of culture that we live in, which I'm not pointing at the culture and denigrating it in any way, shape, or form, but let's just be honest. One of the earmarks of American culture is convenience.
Yeah. Instant
Uh,
gratification as well.
Instant
They think that
gratification.
you do
Yep.
once and then you have the results.
We equate information with I should be the CEO without remembering, no, it takes information with application, which produces experience. And that's what really gets you into spaces. I
Yeah.
think being uncomfortable, intentionally creating spaces to be uncomfortable, personally, I've just found it has taught me more than just doing the things that I'm good at all of the time.
So where we live, we have a crick or creek, I think is
Yeah.
what most people say.
No,
Creek.
when you said crick, I know what you meant.
Thank you. Thank you. I
Yes, I
appreciate
got
it.
you.
Anyone that lived by a crick knows that a crick is a crick. But anyway, we have it and it freezes and all this. But so me and the kids will go do cold plunges in there. And one thing that we always chant is it's cold, but it's okay.
Yes.
And my 5-year-old literally the shower will be cold or something's going on, and she'll acknowledge the feeling of whatever it is, but follow it up with, and it's okay. And I think that's
okay.
so important for those that are involved in the struggle of what if you could change your mindset of this is hard and I'm so grateful for it instead of the story that this is hard, therefore I'm not going to do it. This is hard, therefore I quit. This is hard, therefore whatever. Like you get to define whatever meaning you want to that thing.
I'm more appreciative for the struggles
For
than I
sure.
am for the things that came easy. See,
Yeah.
the things that came easy, I find I'm so much more prone to complain about them faster.
Oh, yeah.
But the things or struggles, oh no, I work for this.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
appreciate this.
Yeah. And we were kind of talking about this before, but like one of the things that I wish upon more people is struggle, because I know my path with faith, my path with my wife, my path, all the good stuff came from the struggle. So I really do. It's unfortunate that God created us perfectly, created us this way that sometimes we have to be brought to our knees to see the light. And so I pray for all those out there that have everything and feel nothing, that you suffer more until you find what it is that you really want.
And in the struggle, in the suffering, I would say, and I pray you find one person who's willing to walk through the mud with you.
Thank you for adding that. Because, yeah, it's so
Absolutely.
important for you not to give up. And if I can throw in, and if you want to find that one person, go find Jesus.
There you go.
That
There you go.
is your beacon that will pull you through. It's the thing that'll give you hope through all the suffering, through all the sacrifices that you ever have in your life.
Absolutely. Or DM Creighton or DM Kyle, and we'll
Yeah.
be glad to help point you in the direction of a healthy next step to take. This life is not meant to be done solo. It
Yeah.
is meant to be done with teammates, with brother.
And
Relationships is one of the greatest gifts this life has to offer.
well, I am so grateful for you taking some time for us to get to connect, get to talk. Is there anything that you feel that you really want to share that we didn't talk about that you feel like you need to get out of there before I let you get out of here and get back with your dad duties?
This has been a phenomenal conversation. I think so many high performers are going to be able to gain at least one thing. And I would encourage people to go in all of the resolutions and all of the goal setting and all of the desires you have of what the snapshot of success looks like in the next 12 months and years to come. I would encourage you to take one step back though and go, what do you want people to say about you
Mm,
when you are in the casket and they
yeah.
are talking about their experience with you? I will tell you the number one motivator for me, Creighton, is that I am driven by what people will say their experience was with me when I'm no longer here, because that's the stuff that lives on.
Yeah.
That's the legacy. How did dad treat and love mom?
Mm,
How did dad treat and love us as his kids? What did he do to make time? Because let's be honest, we don't have time. You have to make time.
mhm.
How did dad make time? How did dad make time for mom? How did dad lead our home in moments where we had to have hard conversations and difficult moments? How do you show up for the people who you say matter the most? The number one place that you should show up for them is in your calendar before the work commute, before the Zoom calls, before you get on a plane and you get your boarding pass and it's loaded in your digital wallet. Where does the quality time show up with the
Mm,
people you say you love the most? And maybe it's me because my parents and my in-laws are getting older. But there's a different perspective I'm gaining of listening and watching them and going, huh, the things that sometimes we think matter in our 20s, 30s, sometimes 40s, you step back in your 70s and you listen to the way that 70-year-olds talk, 80-year-olds
mm.
talk, and you go, huh, it's a much different perspective when there's more time in the rear view mirror than in the windshield. And I go, if I can borrow something from them, what do I need to focus on that makes sure that the things and specifically the people who I say matter the most get my absolute
Mm.
best more often than not?
Let me ask you this.
Yes.
What if you could come up with one to three words? How do you want people to remember you when this is all said and done?
Kyle was consistent. Same guy, showed up, said what he was going to
Mm,
do, and did what he said he was going to do. When he failed, he apologized. When he got it right, he didn't gloat. He was just consistent.
mm,
And consistency is probably one of the characteristics about Jesus that I appreciate the most.
mm. I love that. Well, thank you so much. And I am certain that you will continue to be consistent, not just for us, but for your beautiful children, for your wife, for all those that are out there. Thank you for being that beacon for all of us.
My pleasure. Creighton, thank you for having me, man. I have thoroughly enjoyed this conversation today.
Thanks, brother. I appreciate you so much. For anyone that's interested, reach out to Kyle. What's your Instagram? Kyle Rogers?
Yep.
At
At
Kyle
Kyle
Rogers with the
Rogers.
D?
Yep. Or you can simply find me at kylerogers.co.
Awesome. Go check it out. Go get on the list if you haven't already done that already. Well, brother, thank you so much. I hope you continue to have a phenomenal day, and I look forward to connecting more in the future.
You as well, Creighton. Thanks again.
See you, bro.